So that said, I understand with any career, there's challenges and there's also perks to it. So for somebody who's looking to join an IT, we're talking about university student, we're talking about somebody who's pivoting to from one career to get into IT. What are the things you'd say are rewarding about working in IT, and what are the challenges of working in IT? Generally speaking. Generally speaking, yes.
All right. Which one should we start with? So we don't chase people away.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. We gotta entice them.
Yes. All right. So the rewards, I would say, you get to learn a lot.
Okay.
Right. So I think, you really get to get exposed, get to learn a lot. There's a lot of opportunities. Don't let this year scare you. There's a lot of tech layoffs and stuff. I think, those are all, we call them economic headwinds. This the system balancing itself, and but tech will always be there, and tech will always be on demand. But so that will you'll get to learn a lot in any tech role. And the good thing about tech is you almost don't need to go to university.
Yeah.
So you can literally, if you're a self-starter, you have your own motivation. If you can motivate yourself to do something, if you have internet, if you have a good phone or a laptop, you can take on any area in IT and say, hey, there's a lot of generative AI right now, right? You can say, hey, I want to become an AI expert. Do it. There is a lot of content online. Go learn, practice, and then that's it. So that's another benefit of being in tech is that, knowledge has become so available now that, I think back in the day, these were all, behind like a paywall or very proprietary, right? You have to either go to school to get access to it, or you need to get access to some platform which you have to pay. But now really, like, people are giving back. Like, if you go on YouTube and search how many sort of classes you can find on any item in tech, like, there's a lot of content, right? You just, all you need is probably just someone to coach you on how to navigate the content, because it can be overwhelming. Yes, it can be too much knowing, hey, I want to be X. How do I get there, right? So if you just if you don't have someone to guide you, you can search the most senior course to take, and then you'll do that, and then that will discourage you, right? Whereas if you have someone to guide you, they'll say, no, start here, and then make your way. And that's another thing that's the rewards in this is that people just want to give back. Like, if you go on LinkedIn, there's groups, there's people who are willing to help you, coach you, right, to mentor you to do things. So I have I'm not short of people who can advise me on how to move around, right? And because in this career you almost have to be learning. Like, I reach out to people, right? It's like, it's okay to be a mentee of someone. It's okay to have someone coach you on something. It doesn't matter how senior you are, right? It's like you almost need someone to tell you, hey, you're doing great, or you're doing this, but have you considered this, right? To kind of course correct you, or to validate what you're doing. And that is something that you'll be surprised how much it will be valuable, because you may lock yourself out for 3 months doing something. If you're going in the wrong direction, you've just wasted 3 months.
True.
Versus if you do a week and say, hey, you have 10 minutes, I wanna check in.
I wanna validate this idea.
Yes. Another benefit is, I would say, because there's a lot of everything in our life is transforming into some sort of digital. That means tech is not going away. Yes, it's AI. AI will not replace us. AI will be just a tool. It's almost
complementary.
It's almost like an axe, right? We just have this new axe that will help you do your job. So tech will always be there, and opportunities will just be, they'll just be doubling down. I think, just the networking too. Networking is key. Yeah. Now, on the challenges.
The challenges.
Yes, so that learning a lot thing, you think it's all fun, right?
Yes.
It's not. Because it's fun if you want to learn. It's fun if you're a person who wants to learn.
Okay.
Unfortunately, if you're that person who just, hey, you know what, I did my 4-year degree, I just want to get a job and start my life, I don't want to go back to school and do anything, you may struggle a bit in tech. Because tech is like a moving bus.
Okay.
Right? It's again, I can speak for other careers, but I'll say maybe in another career, it's like, hey, if you know how to open a box and close it, you're good. Which I don't think there's any career like that.
No.
But tech is not. Like things change.
It's always evolving.
Yes. The learning thing can become a burden to some people. So, we've seen people in the industry that, we start off well, we graduate, we start school, and then, you start, 5 years down the road, you'll see someone, making, very good advancements, right? Because I think, obviously that they learned, and then you find others that maybe don't make advancement. Now, if you're comfortable, that's fine. That's, I think we all have our levels, we all have our limits in what we can do. But you will find others that they really want to get there, but now they're struggling with the learning, right? So there's almost like a curse that you almost have to.
You have to be
curious. You have to be in school. You almost have to, to be learning. Okay. What's the other challenge apart from that?
Barriers of entry. Let's talk about that.
Yes. That's another thing. I think especially in cybersecurity, it's almost like you're expected to be, hey, you're an entry level, but you need to have, 5 years of doing
experience.
X. So I think that's also an area where, you kind of need to find an entry point of how do I get in. But again, I think there's a solution to that. Networking.
Okay.
Right? So networking is key. I'm not saying, they'll find ill ways to get you in. No, it's just that, they'll be able to kind of recommend you or kind of like sponsor you, right? To kind of put you up, right? To help you highlight your skills. Because if you network with folks in that industry, let's say cybersecurity, and you come to me and say, hey, I wanna get into cybersecurity. Can you help me out? Like, oh, yeah, great. What have you done in cybersecurity? I've done nothing. Well, let's change that. Do you want to take these courses on Coursera or something? Right? Show that you actually have invested yourself.
You've taken the initiative.
Yes, yeah. Because it's like there's all still competition, even though that cybersecurity needs people. There's still competition in people also trying to go in. So how do you stand out? Right? How do you show yourself that, hey, at least I put this much investment? It shows that you're interested.
Sure.
So having a networking. So try to meet people. If you're in university, and you're looking to go into a specific, career or profession, try to get involved into, community activities within that industry, right? There's like meetups. There's all these things that are happening, right? Go in, get to know people, introduce yourself, send LinkedIn invites, and then, that they will help you when the moment comes to apply. Is probably folks from that same community will be the one taking your resume and interviewing you, right? So it's like you kind of, I like to say that, in getting a job, and it doesn't count to entry level or not. It's like what you have on your resume is just 50% of, and your resume only guarantees you an interview. It doesn't guarantee you a job.
Sure.
What you do on that interview will guarantee you a job. And at that point, it's not your resume. They already know your resume. They know what you did. If you wrote it well, they know exactly what you did everywhere. They may just ask you just to see the confidence in how you talk about it, but they already know it. But the confidence, how you show your confidence, is that they will see, okay, you are really there. You did this. You are not just someone sitting and other people doing it.
Yeah.
And also your communication skills and how you engage and talk. Those are things that, will really drive their decision into hiring you, right? They say, you can change someone's knowledge, you can change someone's character. So they really just want to validate your character, right? How are you? How do you see, are your values aligning? Or is your character going to be an addition to our team? Or something that we think will tear the team apart?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, those are the things that, apart from working on your resume in school, you need to start working on those soft skills.
Soft skills.
Early on, right? Like, know how to communicate, know how to posture, effective communications, things like that. It's like, I learned this way late, and I'm like, I wish I knew all this. I'm like, you come to Canada, we come here, it's like, we're already in our 20s.
Yeah.
But you find folks who went through all this in their 15, 16.
16, like, yes. They were ahead of the game.
My daughter is good in some of these things more than me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but yeah, so I think, just working and networking, right? And then taking the initiatives,
Mm-hmm.
right? Knowing what you need to do, right? If you have opportunities to do internships or what's that called in university? There's a thing here in Canada that they do.
Is it co-op?
Co-op.
Yes.
If you can do co-op, great. Because again, it's all about getting the foot in.
Yep.
And then what happens? You just network, and that's where the power of network comes in. And that's how I did when I got in. I don't think they left. They say, hey, you should stay because I was really the best person. No, it was just I was just a good person to work with. You know what? We should keep it, right? And that is how you communicate and really how you show your character. And that goes back to how you either how you were raised or how you tune yourself to become who you are, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned about like how our environment has somehow impacted us, but that's not, don't use that to your detriment because you can always change.
Yes.
And interesting that you should talk about, sometimes you might be the most skilled person in the room, you might be the most smartest person in the room, but if you don't form those relationships and network, your work only doesn't speak for yourself. You have to be able to show the initiative, sell yourself.
Right.
And I think that's the key theme that I've seen in you moving in these different roles. You've networked, you've worked on your communication skills, you've taken the initiative because you've learned new things.
Right.
Now, switching gears just a little bit, we're still in the professional realm, but more on a personal side of things.
Right.
You are an amazing photographer.
I've been told.
If I must say so. And I know that you've been working in this for quite a few years. So walk me through why photography and how do you envision photography and your current professional venture as a cybersecurity architect?
Yeah. I want to take pictures of people hacking. Yeah, so I think I've always been that curiosity side of me.
Mm-hmm.
It always there's also an element of creativity.
Okay.
Right. So I think I've seen that. I think I can easily trace it all the way to when I was a kid, where now that was mainly copycat thing. We used to watch a lot of movies at the time. Watching Western shows was a big deal. So it's like, you see someone like, hey, I think I want to be an actor, right? So and then you start being. So I was being told, hey, you're the funny guy or you're the clown, right? Because it's like you're just seeing it. I'm like, I want to do that, right? But it's all about that creativity. But I think when I kind of tapped into technology, I process the creativity into, hey, how can I capture moments, right? So that's the photography thing. There's also, I really love music. I really love music to a point where I wish I could play any music instrument. I keep saying that ship has sailed for me. But when you talk to pianists and all that, they're like, no, it has not.
You still have a chance to learn.
I still have a chance. So maybe that'll be a quest for me sometime. But I'm definitely taking my keys through that.
Good.
So there's music. Like I wish I want to express myself in terms of music. So when I listen to music, I really love like the beats, and you almost appreciate the work that these producers put in, right? So I'm like, that's great. They express something. I'm like, I want to express something too. So there's that, and then I think growing up, being close to my mom, my dad, I don't know how I got drawn into cooking too.
Oh.
So there's that side of thing. So I have three big things that I've been juggling all my life.
Okay.
Music, cooking, and photography. Right? It's like, and I keep calling them expensive hobbies because they are expensive.
They are very expensive.
To cook, you just need to buy stuff and cook, and then what? Well, I don't eat too much, so what I do is I end up cooking for people who are around me.
Yeah.
And then mainly I think I kind of pivoted into barbecuing. So I've been honing my barbecue skills and all that. It's somewhere there on the priority list, but photography has always been, I think, with the advancement of technology. Right? So now it's like, hey, back in the day it was either you have a camera, camera with a film, or you don't, right? But now it's like, hey, actually your phone is a camera. So now you can start, playing around and, doing all these things. I think that really, speed up my love for photography, right? And I think when I came to Canada, now you get access to this. You can I wouldn't say you can easily, but you can plan to buy a camera and work towards it and buy it.
Same.
So I got my camera, and it's just capturing that moment that I got so excited. It just gives me joy to be able to just go in and do something, and then if I show you, and then I just look at your reaction, and then how I see your reaction, that's it. That's like it's like a soul food, It's like it heals something in me, and I'm like, I just feel happy. So it's the same thing in food, in music, right? And I'll cook something, like say there's any, even my family, I'll cook, and then when they eat, I just look at their reaction. Oh, Dad, this is great. I'm like, I can go sleep now.
My mission in life has been completed.
Yeah. So I think that just really, it's almost like, how you're more than, like you're more than your job.
And
right?
And that's why I wanted to highlight this, that if people look at you being an IT, you would think that's just you.
Yeah.
But there's more to it.
There is more.
Yes.
And everything is balanced, right? In work, there's a lot of stress and all that. You may not get a lot of these, healing or soul food, rewards, right? Which we do, right? I think if your work is impactful and you do something, you see your team happy, celebrating you, it actually makes you feel good, right? You feel appreciated, right? It's the same thing as what I do here, right? I feel appreciated. I took a good picture. Oh, this is great. So it just kept on driving, kept on going. And I've always seen it as a hobby, because it's like, I don't know, I have my full-time job. I don't have time to work on, and I actually took it serious at some point. I had a couple of events. I did a wedding, I did graduation, I did a couple of events. Yeah.
This is news to me.
Oh yeah, I think I did a trial run of photography, right? So there was an era as if it's way far back. There was a time where I tried out, so I had a couple of gigs, they were very good. My customers loved it. But again, there was a lot of work too. So I'm like, this is great, but
do I want to invest this much time?
Yeah, same thing as DJing. I used to DJ. The music aspect of it.
Okay.
Yes, so there was a time in Ottawa, people used to know DJ Muhuji.
Oh. What do they call it? Renaissance man? Man of many talents?
Yeah, I think I think my friends just know me. It's like whenever there's an event, whenever there's Muhuji, they know food is covered, photography is covered, music is covered.
And I think in any event, those are like the key things. Yes. Entertainment, food, and then the pictures have to be great.
Yeah. So there was also a time where I tried that, with music. I had a couple of events, did a graduation and all that, right? But again, it's too much work, because now I'm balancing that plus my full-time job plus my family, right? So it's like it takes a toll on you.
It does.
Right? So you try it out, and because I was doing it as a hobby, many of these gigs I wasn't charging anything. It was free, but it wasn't free.
For your time, it wasn't.
For my time, no, even for them. Well, they didn't pay me any money, but they gave me an opportunity to learn.
Okay.
That's what's not free.
Okay,
right?
See, that's a different perspective that I did not think.
I mean, look at stuff online, right? Hey, get this report for free. Just give me your first name, last name, email, and date of birth. It's not free. You just gave that data, so it's the same thing, right? So it was an opportunity for me to kind of go on a field work to say, hey, you are a wedding photographer, go, right? So it's almost like a training. So that's how I saw it, and I saw the different expectations that you get. All the prep and all that, same thing as DJing and everything. That's why I was able to gauge it and say, okay, these are great. Now I know if I'm to make them an official thing, I know exactly what it's going to be taken out of me. But again, now, so I think, went to Tanzania, I think I went to Serengeti, and that painted a whole new picture into how I see photography, because I went there, and Serengeti and Ngorongoro is beautiful. And if you have not been to Serengeti and Ngorongoro, I am going to be one of those, what's the board for Tanzania Tourist Board? I'm going to be an ambassador and
I was about to say, I hope the Ministry of Tourism in Tanzania is watching this, and you are using my brother as an ambassador, because he takes amazing pictures.
Yeah.
But anyways, continue.
Right. So anyway, it's beautiful, and if you're a photographer or an aspiring photographer, it's like heaven there. So I think I got there, that environment, the scenery and everything, just dialed up my photography all the way up. Right. So I really had fun, and I think I was enjoying taking the pictures more. I wasn't even looking at the pictures until we are done. I came back and I'm like, oh, these are actually very good.
Wow.
Right? I'm like, oh, man, these are good. So I think that gave me the push that I needed. So like, hey, you know what? Is just open up, just make it a side thing. Looks like, I'm taking good pictures, to work on it. So now I'm working on it, open the page, doing all this. Is it gonna make any money? If it does, great. But the purpose it's not for money.
It's not for monetary reasons.
Yes, the purpose is
pursuing your passion.
Yes, yeah. So that's it.
Interesting. Yeah, the reason why I brought this up also is because I'm one of his biggest fans in terms of photography. I remember when you started that Instagram page, I was running out of options of which pictures to share because every picture was good.
Yeah.
Now, you did mention that you're a family man. You're a husband and you're a dad to 2 wonderful kids.
Yes, I am.
What values are you and your spouse instilling, or what values do you want to instill to your 2 young kids?
Yeah.
If you had to pick maybe 3.
3.
Yes.
All right. Well, so I'm looking at what I take my values, right, is to first of all respect. Respect is key, right? Respect yourself, respect others, and respect time. I think I'm a time fanatic, but time is the only resource that we have that is limited.
Yep.
Right. So to me, it's like what you do with your time can really determine how your future is going to end. So I'm really trying to, we are trying to instill this, right, and tell them, hey, start learning your time, time management skills and all that, and not just yours, because if you don't manage time, you're screwing up other people's time.
Sure.
Unless you're just doing everything by yourself. So anyway, and respecting yourself is very important, right? You need to respect yourself. How you respect yourself is how others. So how you respect yourself is how others will respect you.
Sure.
Right? And of course, respect others. To be humble is another thing. I think, we are lucky to have seen the 2 sides of the world.
Yeah.
You grew up in Tanzania, so you know how things are. You know what it takes to make someone happy in Tanzania.
Sure.
Especially in certain parts of Tanzania, right? People are happy with nothing.
Yeah.
And they're so happy. I would say they're more happy than how we are here.
With plenty of material things.
Yes. Whereas we come here, we and this is personally speaking, there's a certain level of entitlement that starts growing on you, that you feel like, it's like right now, if there's no electricity or internet, it's almost like I need to sue someone, right? It's like it's almost like a birthright that I need to have it.
I remember going to Tanzania and there was a power cut and I could not access my phone. And I was so depressed. My parents had to remind me that you're in Tanzania, 2, there are other bigger problems. And I had to wake myself up that these are first world problems.
Yes.
Having access to internet. Because everybody in our house was perfectly fine. Like, they're like, oh, we're going to turn the generator whenever we're going to turn it on, which also is a privilege. But my world was crashing. So I'm glad that you're highlighting this because it's very easy for us to take some of the things for granted.
Yes. And that's why even, part of, us, as parents trying to really expose our kids to, our backgrounds, like actually in Tanzania, like as much as possible, is to just show them that context, right? It's like, this is great. This is what we have in Canada. We don't have everything in Canada, but we have a lot of stuff, right? And this is who our families and relatives in Tanzania. We have family and relatives. That's wealth.
Yeah.
Right. That's wealth right there. And then there's things they don't have. Right. So you have to, so teaching them how to be humble is like, look, be thankful for everything that you have, right? Because, what someone out there would do anything to get just a fraction of what you have, right? And they're already happy, by the way. But if you just give them that fraction, you'll just complete. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like they won the $1 billion lotto, right? And then the other thing is to be curious and to learn. I think that's something that I mean, I'm a product of that, right? It's like to push yourself to learn, right? To take risks whenever possible, necessary, and to to be, first of all, not to see failure as bad. That's also another thing. I think that's something that till now I'm struggling with, but I think I'm getting a good.
You're getting good grasp of it.
Yeah, that failure is an opportunity to learn. Now there is certain failures will have some bad consequences, right? But that is that. And the other thing is to just to be kind. Oh, I think I said to be kind, but to love, right? Love your family, love people around you, and give back when you can. That's also another thing, because giving back in my own way. People have different ways of giving back, but this world we're all passing, right? And at the end of the day, if you were able to achieve something, find a way to give back, and you'll be surprised what that will complete you. Right? So yeah,
and I think we've all been products of other people's goodwill gestures. So paying it forward, I like that you're instilling that to always give it back and pay it forward.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned something really interesting about making sure that they are cognizant of their culture. You and I have one thing in common. We were both born here,
yes,
and we were raised in Tanzania. And as such, I don't have kids yet, but your kids have a privilege of having dual identities, if I must say.
Right.
What are you and your spouse or your partner doing to ensure that your kids have a very balanced perspective of their two identities from parents who have a Tanzanian heritage and as Canadian citizens?
Right.
I know you guys travel to Tanzania every now and then. What other things are you guys doing to make sure that they have a balanced and a blended perspective?
Right. Yeah, that's actually very. I see that as a big privilege. Right. I think, like you and me, we are able to easily, kind of like flip a switch.
Exactly.
You go to Tanzania, you flip a switch, and it's like
you are complete
Tanzanian. It's like now there's accents that you'll miss, so they can easily tell. But again, you look just like everybody else. So, I think I saw that I'm a living, I'm leveraging the power of that every day, right? There's certain things, in our Tanzanian heritage that are just so powerful.
Yep.
Right? That if you really get to channel and use them in your day-to-day life here, right? It will really make you a good, good member of the society, right? Or a good member, or a good team member, right? And then, there's a lot of good things in our Canadian heritage too, right? I've learned a lot of things that I'm like, this is great. I wish I could go and teach people back in Tanzania. Right? So I think having that blend is great. Now, how it's really a personal thing, how you see certain things, right? I question. I'm curious. So I question things. There's things that I think, hey, that can be done better. Or this one, nah, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, we are kind of like guides to channel, these things. Like, hey, look, this is very powerful. You need to know this. Like these are kind of like your identity, right? It's like, Swahili, what, right? It's like, like these are almost like a must. So long as you're in the house,
these are non-negotiable.
And then there's other things like, well, as you growing and changing, you start to expose them. But I think the key thing that we're doing is exposing them, right? So we are not denying them because they are Tanzanian and Canadian, just like us. So we are not denying them their Tanzanian heritage side. So we are doing as much as possible to expose them. That means, a lot of, just first of all, getting to know the family and friends. That's key, right? It's like you have cousins, you have uncles, you have aunties, you have, I don't know how you call Njomba and Shangazi. That's all grandpa and grandpa.
Uncles on your mother's side and aunties on your dad's side, I suppose, because here I think they're all uncles and aunties.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like getting to know them. That's key because that's like that's connecting the link of our of our generation, right? And then exposing them by getting to know their land, So that comes with a big bill, though, right? Traveling is not cheap. So, but again, it's an investment, right? I think
it's a worthy investment.
There's a purpose, and it's already paying out, right? You take them there, they love it, they love everything about Tanzania. That they're now driving us. It's like, hey, we want to go back, right? Can we stay? Like when we want to leave, it's like, we have to go. Like, actually, yes.
Yes, we have school. We have jobs.
yeah. And then also we also have a challenge of not denying them their Canadian heritage. I mean, I consider myself, I've been here over 10 years, but I don't know a lot about Canada still, because you came here, just landed into school, work, and then it's like, so there is that too. How do we open the different opportunities in Canada so they can learn the Canadian heritage, right? So these are things that we do here, right? Take them this, this festival, this what, or even at school, and that means I have to learn certain things to teach them. But being impressed, there are things that my daughter comes and teaches me. So there's that too.
Yeah, I mean it's a two-way street. Because they've had a privilege of growing up here, and I'm not saying it wasn't a privilege because we had the best of both worlds, but there's certain things that we didn't learn because we were raised somewhere else.
Right.
So you get to learn from them, they learn from you. It's a two-way street.
Right.
Now, last but not one,
right.
Purpose of Evolve with NATO is to highlight self-improvement, self-development. What advice would you give to people, or what steps are you taking to make sure that you're evolving or you're developing yourself both professionally and personally?
Yeah. I think what has worked for me and that I'm, still doubling down on is just the learning side, right? Nothing bad came out of me learning something new.
Good.
Right? There's always something good. Now, what is that you want to learn? It depends on, what do you consider is your objective? What do you consider is your purpose? Either in the office, at home, or just your purpose in life. Like, I'm still figuring that out.
Yes.
I mean, I know I have 2 kids, so that's a big that's a big
responsibility and purpose.
Yeah, but these things. So always asking myself, always trying to redefine and shape it. That always gives me direction, and this direction is like, here are the next 10 steps. And then when I'm done with the 10 steps, you go through the process. Here are the next 10 steps. Right? So I don't know exactly where I'm going to end. I just know my next 10 steps. Right?
Taking one day at a time. I like that.
Yeah.
I think I read a book by not Start With Why, but it was talking about having micro goals instead of having multiple goals. Just start with just one goal, achieve that, move to the next step.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what else am I really doing? Improving. I think part of that learning also is just highlighting the power that you as an individual have. I think there's a lot of self-help book about the power of your mind and all that. I'm totally sold on that. I'm sorry, I know, but it's there's a lot that you can achieve by just tuning how you think.
True.
Right? And you tell yourself you're a lion, you will become a lion. I mean, you need to work on it. On growing,
yes.
Okay, all that. Yeah. but again, you will get there.
Yes.
But I think that is something that I had to work on myself, right? I think because we, growing up, our culture is great, but there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that are,
people boxing you.
There's a lot of fear-based.
Yes.
So those, unfortunately, in my experience, those actually they turn down your self, that self-mind power, right? Because whereas people are almost like kids are almost like free range chicken, right? It's like, just make a mistake. Yeah, you wanna break the glass, break it. That's how you learn. Not in Tanzania.
Hey.
You touch that glass, you have a slap on your face.
Your glass. If you break this glass, you think your dad has an industry that makes glasses. You're right, though. Yeah. You're right. You're very right.
So I had to, almost like find a way to bring it, up, dig it out, right? Because I'm not saying how I was raised was wrong. if we're to reset time and start all over again, I would please pray to go through the same path.
Yes.
Right? So there's nothing wrong about it. But again, it's just part of that learning that I had to do it at some point. It's really, building your own kind of like the whole self-affirmation and all that. I don't know. I'm trying to come up to remember the technical name for it. But it's really the realizing that you own your future, right? And you have the power to do anything if you really commit to it.
If you put your mind into it and put the work.
Yeah, and I listen. I'm not a big reading guy. I'm more of an audiobook. So The Power of Your Unconscious Mind. That's a pretty awesome book. It kind of goes and highlights into what really you tell yourself and how it becomes, right? And how to kind of channel, they work through the different use cases and all that. But that was kind of me like, hey, people say this book is great. So like, let me just listen to it. And it actually, what I got out of it is like, yeah, this is exactly what I've been thinking. Right? Or I've been trying to work on myself. So like, there's that too, right? Always making sure that, your goal or your purpose, once you find it, go, put it in your inner self, right? And then push it, right? And then, always try to go through it. It won't be easy, it won't work, but that's fine. It's part of that process.
It's a
right?
part of you growing and learning.
Yeah, and if you take it in like small steps, it means maybe the first when you looked at it, you say, hey, I want to get to this path. But as you're doing your first 10 steps, you're slowly changing and going this direction. It's just how it works.
Interesting. Now this has been amazing. Now before I let you go, I ask most of my guests this question. If you had to describe yourself in one word, what word would that be and why? I have a feeling I know what this word is, but I want you to surprise me. You know what? And it's fine if I know it.
Okay. It has to be one word?
You know what? You get exception if it's 2 words on a professional and a personal context.
Okay, it's just one word.
Okay.
Well, it depends. I mean, I'm thinking of curious learner.
I was about to say curious is the word that came to mind when having known you and having listened to this conversation. Curious was the one word that came to mind. But curious learner, we'll accept that as.
So I don't know if they mean the same thing or not. But I was thinking curious learner, and I think it fits well.
I think it fits well, and why? I think you've kind of explained in a lot of words why you're a curious learner in your personal and your professional life.
Right.
Yes. Now, I'd love for this because this has been entertaining. I've known you for over 10 years, but there's some of the things that I've learned today that I did not know about him, particularly in his professional life.
Yeah.
And I know there will be more of me to learn from him and for you guys to learn from him. Muhuji, it's been an absolute treat, an absolute pleasure having you on Evolve with Natu. Thank you so much. And as I said, I know you will be visiting this channel sometime in the near future. I don't know where his career is going to take him. Maybe another firm, maybe his own company. Who knows? So that said, for more content, kindly subscribe to my channel. If you haven't watched the past videos, kindly do so. And I would appreciate and I'll be honored if you share this with your family and friends. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.